We were supposed to be doing that, moving gravel. But you gotta be flexible. So instead, we're going to look at used boats. Hopefully gently used. So man, I'll tell you, not only did we get distracted from doing gravel and concrete, we got so distracted that we just went ahead and bought this nice boat instead. So we ended up with it's a 1994 18-foot Campion Alante. That's about all I know. I mean, come with a trailer, 2 spare tires, a whole bunch of other goodies. It has 4.3 liter V6. They call it Alpha 1. You know, like everything gets named with these fancy names. It's in good shape. I'm trying to find shade, It's so dang hot. It's in good shape. Maiden voyage yesterday. It stayed afloat. Remembered to put the plug in. All was good. One small issue, as is with used things. We didn't buy this thinking, you know, there'd be nothing wrong with it. Dumped it full of power steering fluid. It was way down. It was good on the cold mark. We ran it for an hour, checked it again, way down. Zipped back to the truck at the boat launch, filled it back up again. And right when I say fill, I mean, it takes a tiny bit at a time. And down it went again. So there was no visible amounts of oil in the bilge, you know, like blown hose or split hose or leaking. But there is a bunch of things that need to be checked because that oil was either so low that that it just was used up because there's a ram set up. That ram was like just way down, but the steering felt okay, so I don't think that was it. Anyways, we got to track it down. Oil's going someplace, and then we should be good to go. All right, we're back in the tool trailer here. So first on the list of ailments, because there was no obvious signs of leak, according to the wonderful world of the internet, this water cooling jacket for the power steering fluid. Now, according to my research, what takes place is the cooling jacket can fail, get a pinhole, get a crack, not been properly winterized, etc., and it starts to leak. And when it leaks, what it does is it essentially lets your power steering fluid, which goes in these ports, in one, out the other, directly into the cooling system. This is just a cooling jacket, so if you look in there, see the 2 different tubes? One has oil in it, and then water just passes straight through this one. Because, of course, it's a boat. It doesn't have a radiator. It just sucks raw water out of the lake. So if oil were to be getting out of the oil system into the cooling system, there'd be nowhere for it to show up. It just launches to nature. So we got to check this thing out. All right, so I didn't have all the ideal bits and pieces. What I do have is pretty handy. I have no other use for it. This is the first time I've ever actually used it for anything of importance. Is a little vacuum pump. I'm just going to plug this hole. I've got it sealed off pretty good on this port. We're not going to, you know, where this thing don't draw a lot of pressure, so we'll pump this up. Might as well give her till it's as far as it can go. If it's gonna leak, it's gonna leak, I would say, right? Or it's gonna pull the skin off my finger. So we're pretty... I mean, that needle's not dropping. You'd think if this thing was split or had a giant hole in it, that it would be whistling through here. And this oil jacket, right, like I got it hooked up to the oil ports. That's the only one we're really worried about. If it were to have froze and split this water jacket, that would be very visible because it would be pumping a ton of water into the boat. Because this is raw water, right? Cooling jackets, it sucks water out of the lake and it pumps it through all the cooling tubes, which are hooked up to this jacket. So the bottom of the boat would be full of air. Of course, I'm moving around. All right, Pop, see that? It's definitely, there's a bit of pressure there. That doesn't feel good. I'm gonna do it one more time, just to double check here. All right. Jesus, look at that. Man, I'll tell you. Makes me think of the Christmas show Elf.
Oh, wonderful. Yes. That is marvelous how that... Oh, it's very sucky. It's very sucky.
Anyways, so that has been checked. So we're going to put this back. So I hope maybe that just helps out somebody. Because it helped me out. I didn't just figure this out on my own today. I looked this up on the internet last night. And forums are basically the best thing on the internet. I mean, there's no reason to be struggling alone. There's lots of guys that have taken on these circumstances. This has just turned into a good news, bad news scenario. So the oil was going somewhere. I found where it was going. On the back side of this pump, if I can get you in here, you see this fitting right here? Well, if we get you in there, I don't know if you can see that. See the weird angle on that? I was jiggling that. And right there, see that wetness? That would be a leak in the hose. She's leaking. So I now have to fish, which is not too bad because it's the easiest hose to get at. I got to fish it out and we'll have to get a new one made. But I'm really glad that I found the problem. Someone has aftermarket got that made at some point and bent it over and it broke it off. So let's get it out of there. See, no matter what we're doing here, the theme of the channel is never lost, right? Self-reliance. Because I'll tell you what, we didn't pay a lot for the boat, but if I had to start paying someone, that's not the right size. If I had to start paying someone to fix the boat too, well, then you really would be fitting the stereotype of a poor, broken boat owner. Oh man, I'll tell you, they had it tight enough. Holy snikes. All right, I got that broke loose. Everything is just in here tight as a drum. You need some of those really skinny wrenches. There's probably a proper name for them. That would be perfect. These are a little fat.
Today, I was trying to do the journal entries, and it wouldn't let me without entering the password.
Yeah, look at that. Like I was showing you, cracked. So I looked up this hose. It's only about 4 feet long, the two ends on it. Factory from Mercury. Overnight delivery though. They got it in the warehouse. $300 Canadian. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna see if we can't just get some fittings and then get ourselves a hydraulic hose or something made, because that's outrageous. Here's what we've come up with. We sacrifice, so all the fittings that come out of the back of this power steering pump, because my understanding is it's just a repurposed or relabeled GM style power steering pump that's made for this marine engine. You know, that's what I'm learning about boats. As soon as you say marine, it just means it's very expensive and the part exists somewhere else for a lot cheaper. Inverted flares, so I found a fitting. I should show the fitting. So, we showed the broken hose that was on there. The hose actually had this end on it already. And this is the male end of the inverted flare. It's got a little O-ring on the end there. So that actually goes in the back of the power steering pump. So that was step one, to find this fitting, which should be easy, but our automotive parts store is apparently not so awesome. Then we sacrificed this. This is an 8-inch chunk of 3/8 brake line. This will go in there like this, and instead of going down underneath the motor with it, we're going up because, well, actually, because I'll put it in and I'll show you why we're going up instead of down. So you have very limited room here, and that's why that original fitting broke, because they bent it to curve down, come down under the motor, and then go back. So we are going to bend ourselves the hard tubing to come up because hopefully you can see this kind of well. The top of this is tapered, so the further up you go, the more room you get, rather than trying to go down, which it just won't fit. It just will not fit. It's impossible. The other thing we had to do to get that to work is slide this power steering pump all the way over in its adjustment. So the factory belt that was on here is too loose now. So we measured that. We got to get a belt that's a couple inches shorter. But that allowed us to move the power steering pump up. So as it pivots on its arc like this, it moved that fitting up higher and just high enough. Yeah, we can keep the box. You can put stuff in it as you sort. I got a helper working today sorting out the tool trailer. So it pivots it over and gives you more room for the fitting. So we'll just get a new belt and hopefully we can button this all together. Good morning. Well, here's a beautiful sight. An engine cover back in its proper place. I want to pop it off and I'll show you what we ended up with. A quick recap on where we ended up and where we came from. This is a power steering pump, and off the back of the power steering pump was the busted hose that we had to have removed. So we ended up with a inverted flare adapter to come off the back of the power steering pump. This piece of line with the real custom crimped bend in it is actually just an 8-inch chunk of 3/8 brake line that's already inverted flare. You can just buy from the auto parts store. This is inverted flare to pipe, and this is pipe to JIC. JIC is just a standard 37-degree hydraulic fitting. And this is actually the original hose that had the busted end. We just got the end cut off and got a JIC end crimped on. And then just to take all the vibration out, this is a rubber coated electrical clamp, you know, for wiring looms or hoses or whatever you might want to clamp. So now this is rock solid, no vibration, because these brake lines, they're not meant for vibration. Vibration leads to fatigue. Fatigue leads to crack. So what I did order on its way on the internet is out of the back of the power steering pump, you can actually get a male inverted flare to JIC fitting. It's much shorter, and that will allow me to connect this hose directly to the back of the power steering pump if I need to do that. I have bought the parts. They're on their way. They just weren't going to be here in time for the trips that we had planned. Hence why I went to all the trouble to do this setup. But I'll have them. So it may never ever leak again, and it'll just be like this forever. And I will just keep that piece, that fitting in the boat. But I'll have it. So I don't know if anybody learned anything. I certainly did. Hello, ladies. We're back. Are you hungry for dinner? It's dinner time already. We spent the whole afternoon out on the boat. Great success. Beautiful, beautiful. But what did I learn here? Let's recap. Well, the boat's not free. It's gonna break. It's got to be worked on. But Isn't it? It's a good feeling to be able to fix it yourself. So I'm glad it all turned out. The what is it called? Inverted flare fittings and the tubing, I could do without that. That was a real pain in the butt. So if you're working with that kind of stuff, and automotive guys are gonna laugh at me, I found it very easy to over tighten them on the tube connection, not the fitting, but the tube portion. Just, that's what was killing me, because it did leak a little bit when I was buttoning it up yesterday, just running it in the driveway. Just had to get the tightness of that fitting correct. 100% went away. No problems today. Checked it, 5 or 6 times. No leaks. Didn't lose any fluid. The steering was good. Nothing overheated. Totally dialed. So we're good for hopefully a lot of trips. Hopefully good for the rest of the season. Guys just gotta have to keep up on a few things. Pressure tested that cooler. That was well worth the effort. Had to drain all the fluids out of it anyways. So now I have peace of mind knowing that that is in pretty reasonable condition. Got a little bit more intimate knowledge of the engine compartment, all the components. So, I know there's a few things to keep my eye on in the future. But yeah, just hands down a heck of a good time. Ordering OEM boat parts, I'm gonna avoid that at all costs. It's just too expensive, man. I don't have a money tree. So if I can make the part, I'm into this hose business and fittings for, I think, including the belt, let's say $100. And like I said, I think that part was gonna be $350 or $400, and there's no guarantee that it would have fit, right? OEM means who knows. I actually learned that they only made that engine serial number from 1993 to 1995, and then they totally changed again. And within those years, there were subcategories of variation. So I don't know, girls. Hey, oh my God, look at this. What are you, a lunatic? Are you itchy, baby Belle? You guys are silly. You guys are silly. Appreciate you guys watching. I hope that the varied content is enjoyable, and I hope that the varied content is enjoyable, that we're tackling different projects, not just one category, because like I've mentioned before, I get a little bored myself. So tackling different things, making different videos about different subjects with the centralized theme that, independence is important. Build it, fix it, enjoy it. Most importantly, enjoy it, right? Got to enjoy yourself. All right, take her easy. We'll catch you on the next one.